So, one of the things that I'm looking to see, and that hasn't happened yet, but I can see it in formation, the Jewish state, the modern Jewish state, had its beginnings as a secular nation. And many of the religious Jews in Europe were killed. And many of the people that survived the Holocaust kind of lost their faith for a while. And what's happening in the modern state of Israel is that here in America, many people are turning away from God. In Australia, even faster. But in Israel, they're actually turning towards God. It's rabbinical Judaism that rejects Yeshua, but they're still recognizing that giving away the land for peace isn't working. So I see some good things happening there, and I see some bad things happening there. We've got as I said, the gay Mardi Gras and so forth. If Israel gets singled out as a pariah by all the other nations, don't be surprised if Israel one day flips its lid and goes from a secular country to a religious one. Because the secular people don't have any answers for what's coming. Because God is putting His finger on His people and saying, He's putting the pressure on so that no matter where, so there's nowhere to turn except to Him. And that's just where He wants them, because that's what He wants from all of us, is to listen to our Daddy. And when they do, that will be a great day. So I believe that this is one of the stages that's before we get to the prophecies in the Old Testament about the regathering of the lost tribes in the house of Israel and joining with the house of Judah. I believe that Judah is going to get his house in order more and more as time goes on, because if he doesn't, he'll cease to exist. He has to actually start taking the Torah seriously. And once all of the state of Israel starts taking the Torah seriously, eventually they're going to come to another place of decision where they're going to start taking Messiah seriously. And He will pour upon them the spirit of supplications, and they'll mourn for the one they've pierced. And then they'll recognise us. By that stage, we will probably be a little bit different too. So I'm expecting that to happen under a time of pressure. So the same pressure, if we have a world war, people think, well, we can't survive that. Well, we will. We're going to see those palm trees of smoke, I believe. We're going to see those Tamarot Shan. And it's related to the awakening of Israel and the outpouring of the Holy Spirit upon the house of Israel, and also upon those that are in Jerusalem. The house of David will be like God. The house of Judah will be like David. And then He'll pour out upon them a spirit of supplication. So we're two nations, if you like, in parallel development. So as they're coming under pressure, we're also coming under our own pressure here in the States. And the people that know their God shall do valiantly. So my sheep hear my voice, and the voice of a stranger will they not hear. So the pressure that's coming upon Israel is coming upon the house of Israel as well. The pressure that's coming upon the Jews is coming upon us at the same time. They're outside of Babylon in their own country, but they don't have full control over their own country. In a sense, Esau's still running the roost in Israel. And we thought we were living in a free country in Australia, New Zealand, America, but we find out that we're actually under the dominion of darkness, because the bad guys are starting to pull the noose around us. So we're living in a time where that pressure will cause, that affliction will cause the cry of the sons of Israel to ascend to heaven, just like it did in Egypt years ago. The state of Israel is more accurately the state of Judea. This religious state will at first be antagonistic towards Yeshua. I've met a lot of the settlers, and I do feel a connection to them. And they begrudgingly feel a little bit of a connection towards me, but we're not one house yet. And there are differences. So I see this is speculation on my part, I see the secular state at some stage caving in or giving away the land, and then the rest of the Jews go, nah, we're not going to do that. And there's going to be a division, and a religious nation will kind of ascend out of that. And they'll start to get their house together, but they're still going to be antagonistic towards Yeshua, and they're not ready for us. And quite frankly, we're not ready for them, because there's a lot of stuff that we've got to go through too. And eventually, it's when you divide somebody in half and cut them up, it's painful. But I dare say stitching a man back together again while he's alive is even more painful. So putting the two houses together is going to require a bit of struggle, a bit of pain. And we can lessen that pain. I really encourage people this coming September to fast as we come towards Yom Kippur, because we're commanded to. And secondly, I think things are starting to move a lot more quickly with what Obama's doing here in America, and with what's going on in the Middle East, and with this whole Iran thing. The world's really beginning to become unhinged. So we really need to be seeking, not just individually, but corporately. It would be good to have a time of fasting and prayer and seeking the Father's face, and praying for our congregations, for our families, and for our nation, that God will actually save something from the wreckage of a nation that has forgotten God. I'm very hopeful for what is happening here in America, because despite the government going one way, there's a whole lot of good guys that want to go the other way. And I'm just hoping that the good guys will get it together before the Lord and work together. Because we might be a nation of rugged individualists in Australia, New Zealand and America, but we're not going to make it as individuals if we can't make it together as a team. As I like to say, united we stand, divided we fall. So unity is a big deal. And it's something that can come only through the Holy Spirit, the Ruach HaKodesh. It says, "Hinei ma tov u'maneim sheva achim gam yachad." Behold how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together. It's like the oil that goes down Aaron's head, down his beard, down his garments. And the only way to get that oil is to crush the olive. So you can't get olive oil out of a non-crushed olive. So sometimes when we're being squeezed, we start getting down on our knees, and that oil begins to flow. I've experienced the Holy Spirit and the closeness of the Father when I'm being squeezed, a lot more than when I'm not being squeezed. So the things that are against us are secretly still for us. So I think that this coming September, as we come towards Yom Kippur, we should be fasting and seeking the Lord, because I believe there's big things coming, both here and elsewhere. This whole homosexual agenda that's being pushed is really a declaration of war against the image of God, male and female. And Barack Obama has basically said to the Most High that I am at war with the very image of God, with the very definition of what Adam and Eve is all about. So he's not just at war with Yeshua HaMashiach, he's not just at war with Israel, he's not just at war with the church, he's not just at war with morality, he's at war with God. So this is a battle between Pharaoh and the God of Israel. So we need to realise that God has allowed this, an evil king, to rise up that knew not Joseph, in order to get us motivated and to get us quietly concerned, as I like to say. So I believe that we need to seek the Father's face corporately. And I really would encourage you to be thinking about this and just praying about it individually, because I think that the pace of things are going to increase. The wickedness that's being unleashed on this nation and worldwide is going to increase like a flood. It's not going to stop there. The Roe versus Wade thing where they... that was years ago, but now I think the pace is quickening. America's already sidelined Israel, and they've made friends with Iran. What a bunch of crazies. You know, the government in this nation has lost its head, and that head is Mashiach, Yeshua. They've lost their head. And but there's a lot of good people in this country, and God is, please, Father, wake them up. So be in prayer for your brothers and sisters, because, as I like to say, we are all we've got. We've got our Father, our faith, and our brothers and sisters, and that's all we've got. So we need to value one another and be patient with Christians that don't understand, because in a few more years they may understand.